Folks, we're back from the break. Hope you get a couple of cans of Bud there and can make it through the rest of the show.
Or a nice snifter of Jack Daniels.
There you go. So, before we get into the Middle East, there's just a couple more things I'd like to just briefly touch on real quick.
I got a few things to run by, too.
Good. The second largest city in New Jersey, Jersey City.
That's right outside of New York, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
across the river.
Hellhole. Yeah, exactly. Right across the water.
Trump had a different description for those places. But I agree, it was a asshole.
Was one of the few places that I wasn't afraid to go into, but I was nervous as hell going into. Jersey City, Camden,
oh boy,
and there was a couple of other spots, South Chicago.
Jersey City's where I got 5 parking tickets within a half an hour. And big ones.
They must have had a shortage in the budget.
I guess, but it was our own fault. And down there to make a bid on it. For some reason, New York City school systems offices was in Jersey City across the river.
Wow.
So we parked the car. The sign said, no parking after 9 o'clock. We thought, well, we had an 8 o'clock appointment, so we'll be out of here. We got there at 9:30. We had 5 parking tickets. We put them 5 minutes or 10 minutes apart. Boom, 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 boom. The whole windshield was full of them. I said, well, I guess they're trying to tell us something here.
Wow. Well, anyway, they are seeking to bar the police from using marijuana.
All right.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't any more than barring from using alcohol.
It's legal now.
Yeah. Well, just, I don't think a policeman or a bus driver or, taxi cab driver, any of those guys should be smoking or drinking. That's not, the airlines used to have a thing at 24 hours from bottle to throttle, and now it's 48, so.
What about the argument that marijuana stays in your system?
Yeah, it'll stay detectable. I don't think the high doesn't stay.
Okay.
It stays in your system. It doesn't metamorphose like alcohol will go faster. But I don't think it has a whole lot of effect. But they should not be able to. I think there should be a 24-hour gap for alcohol, anything like that. Anything. And there should be a whole list of occupations that you've got to abide by.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree totally. And not only that, but it sends the wrong message.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Congress mulls putting heavier trucks on the road.
That's a short-term fix for anything of your transportation thing, because you put heavier trucks, you're going to destroy your roads faster.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, well, then the states can fix them.
Yeah, but they don't.
They don't is right.
They don't.
We're the poster child here in Massachusetts.
Oh, I don't know. We came back from, a month ago, probably 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We came back from Midwest. I said to Monica, I said, you know what? I drove every day out there. I don't remember hitting one pothole until we picked up the car at the parking Logan Express in Braintree. Came out of that lot and hit about 3 chunk, big old potholes. I said, oh, God, I miss those things.
Yeah. Not even up in Maine do they have the potholes.
No, the excuse here is, well, we get freezing weather in the winter, and sometimes it thaws and freezes. Well, so does everybody else except Florida or Louisiana. But, that's not an excuse, because Rhode Island gets them, and Rhode Island, as poor as they are, their roads are generally better shaped than ours.
Yeah. I know. I don't think this is a good idea.
No, I don't either.
And not only that, but if they're going to lengthen the trailers, and I saw one the other day that had all kinds of lights on it and everything, was about 9 miles long.
One of them double things?
No, a single.
Single, oh,
believe
okay.
it or not. In fact, to tell you where it was a car carrier.
Okay.
And I think they were able to put 12 cars in.
Yeah, it's phenomenal how many cars they stuff in those things.
Yeah,
now.
but this was longer than usual.
I don't think trucks should be heavier.
No, I don't either. No.
I see the reason for them. You know, you get more freight hauled on the same amount of trips, but the consequences are going to be. Plus, you take a heavier truck, your stopping distances are longer. It's more hazardous.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure it's a great deal for the trucking companies either.
No,
because when you've got bigger loads, man, you're wearing and tearing on your brakes.
Yeah,
and brake jobs
are expensive
on those big trucks are expensive as hell.
You don't see so much here the triple duals in the back.
Yeah.
You do in Canada, simply because the roads aren't built to support double duals,
Yeah.
4 in the back. So they got to spread that out over 6 tires on
Yep.
each side. And our roads are no longer able to handle the roads
No,
anymore.
no. And we move so much freight in this country in trucks. We can't. I don't think we should mess with it. I really and truly
No, I wouldn't
don't.
either. Another thing, speaking of roads, why is Massachusetts going this patching now? A mile here, half a mile here.
I don't know.
And then, within 6 months, you're going to have to do the part you didn't do. You got to come back and redo that whole section
Doesn't
again.
make sense. Park Street is a perfect example of that. We did that piecemeal.
Why they used to just take the whole 30 miles and we'll just
Bingo,
fix it all at
bango.
once and be done.
Get it over with.
Yeah, now it's patch here, about half of
Oy.
500 feet here, half a mile there.
This picture in the paper of posted of
is that
missing
yeah.
children, women, people in the Middle East due to that Hamas attack. And it's posted on walls here in this country.
Yeah.
Okay? There was a news clip yesterday showing 3, I don't know whether they're human beings or not, but they were, I guess, students at NYU tearing them down.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Nah.
This business about the government supporting these universities and paying for people to go to college and getting this grant and getting that grant and this and that. Man, they ought to yank all that stuff from these cretins that do that.
I used to say no, but I say yes now. Right? If you, how can you accept a handout from the federal government when you're against the federal government?
Exactly.
You're anti-government.
Exactly.
But yet you'll stand there and you'll take whatever they hand to you.
How can you let the colleges get away with hooting down and not allowing conservative speakers to
That's
speak?
right. But they don't do anything about it.
Get the liberals up there, though, and they're quiet as church mice.
Yep.
Well, if they accept federal funds, federal government, you yank it.
And here's another one that just bites my behind. Student debt relief. You can't get a sympathetic comma out of me for student debt relief. Because you took that debt. You took that money with the idea that you're going to invest it in your education to better yourself, to make more money, to make a better life, and now you don't want to pay it back. Well, that's no different than borrowing money on a car, knowing damn well that instead of buying a sensible car, you went and bought a Corvette and then say, well, my payment's too much, I can't pay it.
Exactly.
Somebody ought to pay this off for me.
Yeah, and not only that, Dwayne, but I think the parents too.
Yeah.
Say, oh, take out all the loans you can, you know, and we'll push this way out, and who knows, maybe in 6 or 8 years we'll have subsidies for college, and the government will pick up the tab for all your stuff.
I know that legally an 18-year-old can enter into a contract.
Yeah.
And a loan thing is a contract, a very strong contract. But I don't see any reason why the federal government doesn't require on a student loans. I'm not talking, if you got a private loan company, that's their business if they want to get into it. But the federal government, where we want to reduce or forgive their debt, they don't require a guarantor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you better have somebody with you.
It's, I really go back to the parents.
Yeah.
Because the rich are rich because they can hold on to their money.
Yep.
They know how to hold on to it. And this is a perfect example.
This student debt relief is a perfect example of spending money to help the rich.
Yep.
Because that's what it is. Most of the time,
it's a subsidy we should not be doing. We
the kid
don't
that's got
need
the debt
this.
and gets out of college, he doesn't have anything now. But what's he going to have 5 or 10 years from now
That's right.
as a result of that loan?
And us subsidizing the rich is obscene.
It is.
Yeah. DA it says that the Suffolk DA Kevin Hayden, a core group of repeat offenders are driving gun crime. In other words, there's a bunch that are importing guns into Massachusetts and selling them on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he's wrong. I'll tell you what the proliferation of gun crime is all about. It's ignoring the Bartley-Fox law.
So he's ignoring all the gun laws. That's
right.
Bartley-Fox is a classic.
We have got a law on the books in Massachusetts, the Bartley-Fox law, that says the illegal possession of a firearm is punishable by a mandatory 1 year in prison.
And no one can get you out.
That's right. There's no early release.
Nope. There's nothing. It's just, and they used to have the commercials. This jail cell slamming. Just go
Yep.
boom. Use a gun, go to jail. Nobody's going to get you out.
And guess what, folks? The liberal judges, to a person.
Now, there's some controversy here on how many people got convicted of this.
Right.
It's very, the difference between, I think you say, what, 1?
Yeah.
And I said none. So
Yeah. That's exactly right. They will not put a person. It's a child.
Yeah.
Don't you understand that? It's a baby. Well, wait a minute now. He could sign a contract and indebt his family
that's right.
for $75,000 or $100,000 to go to college. He can drive a car, a motorcycle. He can go in the army. Oh, but he's a child when it comes to a gun. Well, let me tell you something, folks. If you get shot by a 25-year-old
That's right. You can be just
or a 16-year-old, there's no difference. You're dead either way.
yeah. When you walk into a 7-Eleven and pull out a 9mm and hold it up to that poor clerk's head, all your rights just went out the window.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't care what it is.
But he's from a broken family.
Well, I'll break him.
Yeah. The school system he went to stinks,
the
and they
system
didn't
failed him.
learn anything. They got more bloody excuses. And number 2, the stop and frisk law. Oh, it's been proven. The judges have said it is legal to do it, but we don't want it done in
And it's one of the most
Massachusetts.
effective things in crime reduction that they've ever used.
Yep. And politicians are the big problem.
Yep.
Because they haven't got the backbone they were born with.
You know, the new one now, you can't stop them if they run.
Yeah.
If you stop, a policeman stops a car for a
Anything.
tail light out, and a passenger opens the door and starts hot-footing down the road because he don't want any deal, the police can't chase him. Nope, you got to just let him run because you haven't proved that he's committed a crime.
Yep.
But he's not running because he's got to go to the bathroom.
Or because he forgot and left the chicken in the oven.
That's
at
right.
home. Well, I tell you what, we need to start concerning ourselves with making the streets safe for everybody.
That's right.
And hell with these gun-toting criminals. Toss them in the can.
Well, here's one for
Go ahead, let's
all
have
your yay or nays. The Globe does, they do some pretty good, come up with pretty
I
good
like those
questions.
things.
Yay and nay,
Yeah.
the for and against. This last one made sense. Do you support the Senate bill that will limit the use of driver community residents in setting the insurance rate? Should everybody pay the same auto insurance, regardless where you live, or if you live in a safe little community, should you pay the same rate that somebody lives in
Brockton
a real high crime rate where your car's going to get vandalized or stolen? Should this all be evened out and everybody pay the same?
Yeah.
I say no. You pay according to your risk factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a lot of them in this thing, that's just not fair. There was an old adage years and years ago, and we had a no fault. If you were, they said in Rhode Island, if you got a good driving record, insure your car in Rhode Island. If you got a bad driving record, go across the border and insure it in Massachusetts because they don't penalize you for a bad record.
You do now.
They do now, yeah, but they didn't then. Everybody paid the same rate.
Yep.
Well, the most ridiculous thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's like dumbing down and income redistribution and all the other social activities.
It's like the progressive schools,
Yeah, exactly.
where they start by giving the kids on the first day of school 50.
Yeah,
Oh, and if everything homework assignment, you get another and another and another, and so on the tests. Oh, look at Johnny got a 95. He got an A.
yep.
We started with 50.
Yeah, to me, that's just absolutely nuts because there's no incentive for any community to kind of clean up their act.
Right.
Because why would we? We would just. We lived in Brockton, and we didn't have too much trouble. But boy, I know some people that live over on the east side. Their cars were targets almost every night, and we had a little problem once in a while, but not.
Yeah, but you know what? The folks in Roxbury get problems.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Parts of Dorchester.
Dorchester and yeah, I mean the kids just steal the cars.
Steal it,
just-
take them out, and drive them,
yeah,
run,
drive them around.
bang them up, wreck them. They don't
And
care.
the cops at this point in time do the best, but they're not going to kill
It's not a high
themselves.
priority for them.
Yeah.
No.
This is a article with a headline: Germany struggles to contain an escalation of anti-Semitism. I'm not going to read the article, but where the hell does the anti-Semitism come from?
Good point. I'm not really sure why that even exists as such. Because, wait, I take that back. There's probably you got to think like somebody that's involved in that. I think you get cases where. I think you found that in Germany, maybe pre-World War II, a lot of time the Jewish people were the shop owners. They had money. They were successful. And there was a lot of jealousy if you didn't have that. And it was always, oh, those Jews, they own everything. I think you still got some of that in this country.
Also money lenders.
Or money lenders, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. I think that affects a certain element, a small element, but it's there.
Does it go back to biblical days?
That's another end of it.
The Jews crucified Christ.
Yep, that's
been with us for 2,000 years.
That's been around. That's kind of something really sublime. It's in the back of the head someplace. Who was it? I think it was Newton North played, I believe it was Brockton, in a basketball game a couple of years ago. And the Newton North kids were, Brockton was all black. Oh, I know, it started out, they played a Catholic school and they called it Sausage Fest. They started chanting. And then they played Brockton and they started chanting that old Northwestern's chant. Ho, 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 hey, 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 you're going to work for us one day. And of course they picked it up as being racist because the other team was black and they were white and they were privileged and well-to-do. Well, then somebody played Newton North and they started chanting Christ killers because that's a high percentage of. All of a sudden then Newton North was really upset. But they weren't upset when they played Brockton and they were in the other ways. But see, there's that. It
depends on whose ox is being gored.
Whose ox is being gored, that's right. But it wasn't funny, but I kind of thought, well, that's a comeuppance there.
Yeah. But, and in this country, I think too, you've got a lot of jealousies between the haves and the have-nots.
Oh, yeah, that's
and we are bombarded with it on television constantly.
Now, I see it, not so much prejudice, but I see the other side probably a little more than most people did, because my last name is Weiss, and that's one of the 4 Jewish names, the 4 most popular Jewish names in the world. Now where I came from, it's not, there's nobody. They're all Catholic or Lutheran. But when we got to Ohio, they were all, the people we met upstairs was Levitt. And they had just assumed we were Jewish. And his name was Mel Levitt. And he says, one time from them we met other people. And of course, being that the first people we met was the Levitts, their association of friends were also Jewish. So we got this big circle of Jewish friends. And they would say, they'd introduce us and they'd say, do you believe they're not Jewish? And Mel said, I've never met a Weiss that wasn't Jewish. I said, well, you just lived in the wrong part of the country, that's all. But so we get their ideas of what other people were thinking about different things, and it was pretty interesting.
There's a difference in spelling.
No.
No?
W-E-I-S-S.
I thought the Jewish was W-I-E-S-S.
E-I-S-S.
No?
You're looking at, most of them are all Jewish.
Okay.
Because
they're all from German Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I had some salesmen at Stanley used to call me the German Jew. So.
Oh.
But
could be worse.
Could have been. But the reason that those there's 4 names that are out there that are big Jewish. Now this is what I was told by the Levitts and the other Jewish people. Was that at one time back in history they were I don't know remember the details, but the gist of it was they were being expelled, I don't know, in the year 600 or 1012 or someplace. And they kicked them out, and as they were given out, they were renaming them, and they renamed them by their appearance. And there was Klein, which was small. Gross, if you were a big person, they called you gross. If you were dark complected, they called you Schwartz, German. There's all Yiddish type name, and Weiss, which translates to white, somebody
Yeah.
light complected, and that's how those four names became so popular in Jewish history, I guess. It wasn't.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they were renamed by their physical appearance. So. We got a lot of things there. They said, well, you know, this one doesn't like Jewish people. This one doesn't like this, and they were real open about stuff that happened, and they knew when something was going wrong the other way. A lot of times they didn't say anything, but they also had their own terms too that were kind of pejorative. But you know, it went both ways, so I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't get upset. I don't get offended.
Yeah.
That's something I never understood, how people get so offended over something that it was nothing.
Slight.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
It's like a speck of sand in Nantasket Beach, for heaven's sakes.
It's like someone telling me I'm fat. Well, I don't care.
You're well built.
You call it what you want. Hell, I'm fat.
So, we really need to spend some time on Haiti, but it's getting so bad over there.
Yeah,
The gangs are now controlling about 60% of everything, and there's pictures of them here. So I'm going to save this article for another time. But you know what?
Haiti's one of those areas I don't think we can afford to ignore.
I know it.
I don't think we can afford to ignore Cuba anymore.
I agree. I agree totally.
Because
From a humanitarian point of view.
yeah, that too. But I'm more looking like, look at the fuss that we made in the missile crisis of '62. What was it, Khrushchev at that time?
Yep.
Wanted to put the missiles into.
Yep.
I mean, we almost went to World War III over that. And the situation there hasn't really changed, except the players have gotten a little stronger. Now we've got more than one. We've got Russia and China nosing around in there.
We don't need that.
We don't need China influencing Cubans or even Haitians.
It is the result of our own neglect of Cuba.
That's right. We're going to pretend they don't exist. You can't go there. They can't come here. We can't ship stuff there. Just we should have been opening that up. Cuba, go to Cuba, go on vacation, show them what the rest of the world is. They don't know what they're missing.
Exactly. And not only that, but you know what? We're willing to invest in your country.
That's right.
Learn what capitalism is all about. You know, I mean, they could put in vacation homes, they could put in all kinds of Disney World.
Their standard of living would skyrocket.
Yep.
Now, I know that years ago, before the present government came in, that the Castros and stuff, there was a lot of mob influence and a lot of gangster stuff.
Oh, yes.
But so was Las Vegas, but that don't exist anymore.
That's right.
Those days are gone.
Things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed. I mean,
And for years, Castro was a communist.
Yeah.
That's bad. Well, you still could have worked with the guy.
He wouldn't have been a communist for long if they saw
you
what
showed
capitalism
him a
could
better
do.
way.
Yeah, because
That's
the
right.
population would not have accepted it.
That's right.
If you isolate it, they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
There was I thought it was on 60 Minutes, but it was one of the reporters that was in Cuba, and she said she saw this big lion in a park. And so when you see a lion in Cuba, you just get in it because there's a lot of shortages, and they got some. Well, she got up closer, and there was ice cream. The vendor in a park had ice cream, and she got talking to people standing in line, and somebody said to her, "Now I bet you don't get this in America, that you can on a Sunday afternoon find ice cream for the common people." They thought that was a real treat.
Well, you see,
and they believed in America, you never got ice cream.
They've been force-fed
Yeah.
information about they're bad,
Yeah.
we're good.
We're good. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's, you know, so what the hell do we do with Haiti? So I put this down. Colonization is a bad word, but
Yeah,
maybe being harsh is necessary. We've got to establish law and order before we can do a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Law and order, health care, food, schools. All right? And the only way you're going to do it is by going in there and saying, now hear this.
Yeah.
Here are the changes that are coming. And the Marines went in there in 32 and 33, I think. And those people still pray, the old people,
Yeah, for the return.
for the return of the U.S. Marines.
Yep, exactly. Well, you can't live there.
No.
The good, the honest, hardworking people there are just
Get out
victims.
as soon as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it says here, UN-backed mission in Haiti faces gangs and weak government. Gangs are going to be eliminated. The weak government has got to be strengthened
right.
with honest people. I mean, it's so easy,
It can be done.
but it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
But they got to do it. And there's a big article here, Violent Crime Upends the Life of D.C. Residents.
That's another area
Yep.
that's got out of control.
Out of control is right. So, on that note, I think we need to switch right over to the Middle East.
Okay. You gave me an assignment.
Yes, I did.
Impossible. I never ran into such a. You should give a thumbnail sketch of the history of Israel. That's not possible. Do you want to start with, you know that they've had to date since 1948, 37 governments, each one different from the other. There are so many propositions and so many changes. Some would last a week, a month, everything. That I just said that I can't make any page. The information is not, a little page here, a little page. It's 30, 40 pages long, everything. Yeah. And when I started looking at it, it was years 617 or something. I said, oh, no. I'm going to go up, skip up to where we think of Israel as Israel. And that would have been May of 48 when they actually became a. Everybody knows if you want to know about what the World War I and World War II, go read it because it's massive.
They were just roaming tribes until 1948, essentially.
And it's had 37 governments since 1948. And I mean real changes, real governments. It's not like they just got a new prime minister or a new senator or something. This is really a change. They can change like that overnight. Back in April of 47, the UN requested what's to be done with Palestine. I remember that Palestine is what Israel is today. At one point that was Palestine. There wasn't really, Israel was a biblical reference. And UNSCOP, which was Special Committee of Palestine, was a committee that was put together to study this problem. And the Jewish state was put up by this scope. One, they could look for an independent Jewish state, which Israel. B, an Arab state to accommodate the disposed Palestinians, because first they said, well, we'll just mix. It didn't work. I mean, it's like cats and dogs. They just didn't get along.
Oil and water.
Yeah. Then you had the third thing was the city of Jerusalem. Everybody wanted Jerusalem. The Christians wanted it, the Jews wanted it, and the Muslims wanted it. So that was put under a tribunal, international tri-system, and it's that way today. You got all three in that one city. And actually, by looking at what's happening today, that's actually functioning better than the rest of the country is. Little was happened with Britain from 1922 to 1948. That was kind of a dead time. They were spinning their wheels. Immediately following the declaration of the new state of Israel, it was recognized by this UConn and by Truman and Stalin, and the IDF was formed, which was the Israel Defense Federation. Israelis military, they were recognized. Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria signed the armistice, which established a demilitarized zone. Now, today everything's Gaza Strip. That was part of Egypt until the Six-Day War in '67, when they lost that strip.
Yep.
That and the West Bank, which sets up, like if this was Israel here, the Gaza Strip sets a little, right, it would be right here. It's 25 miles long and 5 miles wide. That's all it is. It's tiny. It's 140 square miles.
Yeah.
Then up here is the West Bank, and that's completely separated from Gaza. Now you got a situation where supposedly they were going to get along. Supposedly they were going to have a separate area or separate countries, and that's going to have to be the solution at some point.
It's got to be a Palestinian state.
That's right.
And it's got to be a Jewish state.
Yeah, you stay on your side if you want, and I'll stay on the other side. Not necessarily walled. Yeah, it's got to have a border.
Yep.
Walled, and I think there should be trade back and forth.
Palestinians also enjoy working.
That's
in
right.
Israel,
because
Israel pays the money.
They're more advanced than commercial.
I mean, they can't eat sand.
Yep. Now, Israel has always restricted access in Gaza by air and sea. And land is restricted by a wall.
Yep.
And they're real tight about it. Come July of 2007 is when Hamas shows up. They're an organization of, well, they're a terrorist organization, but there was so much turmoil in Gaza, and they was so loosely run. They were trying to run themselves. They were just open to have somebody come in. And the Hamas is supported by Gazans and not supported. They got the guns. They got the power. They got the physical power. And so they kind of dictate what's going on. And they are so against Israel.
Well, sure.
Their mission is to wipe Israel off the map, along with like people like Iran.
That's part of their constitution.
That's exactly right. Now, why did Hamas do what they did? That's what we got to look at. We can't change what's happened in the past.
Right.
But why did they do what they did? And I have a theory that they knew damn well that they weren't going to win anything here. They were going to get their butt kicked. Because Israel is a kind of reactionary country. You shoot one of mine, I'm going to shoot 10 of yours. You hit me with a stick, I'm going to hit you with a boulder.
They're all Middle East tribes.
Yeah. and they retaliate fast and they retaliate swift. So you say, what the hell was Hamas doing, poking the bear here? Well, I think what they did, I don't think Hamas saw this. I think Iran sees this. Strategically, they knew Israel's going to react. And when they react, they're going to react big. And because Hamas buries all their armament and military stuff under civilian targets, they'll put them under schools, they'll put them in hospitals, they'll put them wherever that, to get to them, you got to go through the civilian population, and you got a lot of collateral damage. They knew on the worldwide stage, Israel's going to be blamed for this.
Exactly. I agree with that totally.
That's pretty much what I came up back with. Because there was a history of that. In July of 2014, there was a kidnapping and murder in Israel. Hamas killed 3 teenagers. Israel went back and the death toll on the other side was 1,600. And they resulted in 2.5 million tons of rubble when they got done in Gaza. So there was a history of this. And Iran can see this and say, well, we'll goad the Hamas into doing our dirty work for us.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Iran has also paying and bankrolling Hezbollah.
Yeah, that's another.
Yeah, on the northern
side,
side of Israel. Maybe I can help just a little bit here with very, very simplification of this.
Well, this is all way simplified.
So this is the Middle East.
Yep.
We have World War II. There is great sympathy for the Jewish people because Hitler attempted to eradicate them in Europe and slaughtered 6 million, 8 million, yeah, pick a number.
Either one.
So the world felt that, or some segments of the world felt that Israel had to have a homeland. So how do you do that? Well, they took a bunch of land here and said, this is the Israeli state. And they drove out the Bedouins, because there was just wandering tribes in the Middle East. There was no organized government. There wasn't anything. It was just, oh, there's a tribe over there, tribe over there. So they just said, shuffle them all that way, shuffle them all this way. In the middle, Israel. Here's your home. Move in. And that was a recipe for disaster.
You bet.
Because even though the Bedou and the other wanderers had no home, they just wandered.
Yeah,
they were shepherds.
Yeah, the Bedouins were nomads.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden, you've taken our land, our homeland, and given it to the Jews. And bingo. Instant hatred.
Yep.
And it's going on, and it's still going on. And we are still arguing over 2 separate states, Palestine and Israel. And no one wants to give an inch.
No, that's unfortunate.
That's right. Mm-hmm. It may be a problem that'll never be solved. Yeah, they might just kill themselves until...
Israel has another problem. Well, they have several, but one of the problems that's firing up this division is there's a group called Zionism, or Zionist, and there's the ultra-Orthodox, who support Zion. The ultra-Orthodox are the people that you see in the hats and the thing in the gowns and stuff. One, they don't do anything but study the Torah. They don't serve in the military. They don't have a job. They get a stipend. That puts out, there's a lot of resentment among the regular Israelis. But they believe, biblically, all of that area is all Israel. There should not be any Palestine. Because the Bible says, well, Israel occupied this in 1000 BC and beyond, whenever it was.
The Arabs aren't buying into that.
They're not buying into that.
No.
And then you got the ultra-Orthodox who buy into that thing along with the Zionists, where Zionists are like strict interpretationists, again, of the Torah.
The far right wing of government.
Because they'll set an area that this is Palestinian area, and 3 months later they're establishing a village in there, or a group of Zionists will come in and say, well, we're going to settle here right in the middle of you.
Yeah, putting up a settlement.
And then the fight starts again.
Yep, because people are driven off their land.
And you can see both sides. You know,
yes.
We respect deeds in this country, or ownership of lands, but we also respect people that have been there. It's not much different than if an Indian tribe a few years ago, the Senecas are up in New York State, found some treaty and said, well, this is all ours. You guys got to leave, all you farmers and all your towns and that. You go on, and the people that live there, it's like hell, I believe in.
Yeah.
You come in, and you're coming in you better come in armed, because I'm going to be shooting you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, listen, there's two sides to this issue. You're absolutely right. And that's what, and you know what? Both of them are valid.
That's right. You can look at one side, and they got a point, and they got a point over here.
And that's why
the point is that the thing is that Hamas is getting used so bad by, it has to be Iran, doing their dirty work for them. And they turn out to be they are bad to start with. And they're not, I don't think they're overly bright.
And you know, there's a really big enigma here. Iran is the best educated people in the whole Middle East.
That's why they can think of this stuff, though.
And what in the devil, they ended up getting captured by the ultra-Orthodox mullahs.
Yep, exactly.
Just as bad as the ultra-Orthodox Jews in their view that they are right.
Yep.
So you've got forces banging heads. Now, if you want to hand out some blame here, England was involved in this. And at the end of World War II, they just said the differences between these groups, we just cannot wrap our head around it. Goodbye. And they packed up and left.
Yeah.
And what did they leave? They left the cauldron boiling.
Yeah, that would have been the time that some settlement should have been made.
That's right. And the Brits kind of, if I don't know whether this is proper or not, but I'll say it anyway, they had the high ground, if you can consider colonization the high ground, in that they had set up laws, apparatus, government, and they just abandoned it. You know, they just said, no, and they ran back to England. And
you got to remember, this is what Bill and I are talking about. We are so simplified this that it's the complexities here are amazing.
You get thousands of years of history involved in all of these hatreds. probably went back to 3,000 years ago when Bobby shot the neighbor's cat or something.
Yeah, but
Grew from there.
what we have to be careful of is where is this going to go from here?
Well, let me ask you this
It
question.
has settled down in the past. This
Yes.
happened in 2016 or
Yep.
20.
And it'll happen again.
It kind of just slowly simmered down, and I think it's going to. That's what's going to happen. It will happen, but it'll raise its ugly head again.
It will. I think you're absolutely right. I believe that Iran is festering hatreds, and they're doing it militarily, economically, politically,
Yep.
and they want to eliminate Israel off the face of the earth and kill every Jew, period. End of the story. And if you look at what's happening, you read the literature, and
They don't-
that's it, pretty well
Iran
simplified.
Iran does not want Israel or Jordan or Egypt nosing around with Saudi Arabia. Those two are oil and water.
Yep. And now there was a big article in here, and I won't be able to find it, about Saudi Arabia. And they were, shoot. I'll find it for next time, folks. Basically, the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Israel had an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia wanted U.S. to share nuclear power and nuclear energy
Right.
with them. They, in turn, would recognize Israel, and they would guarantee free flow of oil to the U.S. In turn, Saudi Arabia, with the young prince running things now, brings this country into the 21st century.
Right.
So you got win, win, win.
Right.
So the U.S. looks good. Israel looks good. The Saudis get modernization, which they desperately need. Win, win, win. Iran can't have that.
Cannot have it at all.
Nope. That is not on their drawing board. So as a result, we see this. Now, I hope I'm wrong, God forbid, but I can see Hezbollah moving into Israel.
Oh, starting to boil the whole thing over again.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And Israel will be faced with two-front war.
Yep.
Now, I think Israel can handle it with
With
U.S.
help, yep.
intelligence, U.S. air power. But can we handle Ukraine, the Middle East, and all the crap going on over with China? I mean, that is a three-cornered shot.
I think we can.
You do.
Look what we did in World War II with the technologies that were crude about manufacturing of things.
Yeah. If we did not have the current government in place, I would say to you, yeah, we can.
Well, I'm discounting the government.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as a country, I think we could.
Now, the country, by the way, some things that are coming out in the news. College students, this group, that group, supporting Hamas, supporting Iran.
When I said we could But will we is another.
Do we have the will to
Yeah,
do
do
it?
we have the will to do it?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think we can do it.
Hmm?
But do we, as a country, possess the desire to do it? You know what, Dwayne? I think there's a hell of a lot more interest in this country in the National Football League than there is in what's going on the world.
I guarantee you're right. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God! I mean, 20 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you hear stuff being discussed about the Middle East? No, but they talk about Dancing with the Stars last night on TV.
You take a general population. They don't know. They don't care.
They don't care.
They'll turn on and say, "Oh, more stuff about Israel. Oh my God, I'm so tired of that."
But I'll tell you something, Dwayne. We've got to get serious about modernizing our military.
Oh, absolutely.
I wrote an article 15 years ago for the Boomerang. And I said, we need 2 more Army divisions. We need another Marine division. We need another air group. And we need more ships. And we need more people in there. And we've got to reinstate the draft. It's fair. Everybody goes.
Yep.
You know what? People, say to me, when I got my ball cap on, hey, thank you for your service, and I say, you're certainly welcome. But if we have a conversation, I make sure I point out to them, we all went in those days,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People don't understand that.
No, they don't. They don't.
Draft boards,
Yep.
numbers. We all went. I used to check with the draft board in Franklin. I'd call them and say, how long before November 9th gets called? And they'd say, you got another 6 months. But we'll be calling you. And they were right. They had it right on the news. They called, October 14th, they called me.
I think I had been out of the service already when they instituted the number system, the date by date.
Yep.
I was 312 or something. It never got to me, but it was a moot point to me because.
Dwayne, I've heard 2 different versions of the number system. I heard, I was number 312. They're never going to get to me. And another guy, that wasn't how it worked. It was a random choice every week. We'd take a ping pong ball out. Number 246 gets called. Number 71 gets
I
called.
sat up and watched that initial drawing, and it was all 365 or 366 days were drawn at that point and assigned a number. It was a big TV thing on it.
That's how
And
it
everybody
worked.
sat around like, well, what's mine now? What's the next one? Number 1 is July 6th. Number 2 is October 14th. And you heard, oh no, you heard, yay!
All right. Now I understand. It was very good.
And they only got to, 180 or 190 or something.
Not even that high
Not
some
even that
years,
high.
yeah. But back during the beginning of World War II, I mean, they were swamped with volunteers.
Oh my God, yeah, they couldn't handle it.
Everybody wanted to sign up. And
They were lining up around the block.
yeah. Well, Dwayne, we certainly haven't solved anything, but we've kicked a few things around.
And this stuff, if we get dates wrong and
We're old.
Yeah, we're old. We're simple. So
Yeah, and we're doing the best we can.
and if anybody wants to sit in on this and they got good information, a hell of a lot more knowledge about it, Bill and I, we'd gladly have you.
Especially if you want to contradict us.
Yeah, oh yeah, that too.
Sure. Yeah. Be more than happy to have you come on board and invite you onto the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll even bet that you buy lunch afterwards.
Now you're really talking.
That's right.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. And we'll show our thanks by doing it all over again a couple of weeks from now. Maybe we'll have some good news.
Yeah, I hope so.
Here's hoping. See you later.
Bye-bye.